Okay, we're going to try this one more time, and this time we're going to use my phone. So let me know whether or not you can hear this. I'm not certain how I'm going to be able to find out whether or not you're hearing this. So, Mark, if you can get online and tell me whether or not you can hear me, that would be wonderful. Okay, let me know if you have sound. If that would be great, if you can tell me you have sound. Yay, wonderful. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry for the issue. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello to all of you showing up. So now I have to start all over again. Thank you for thank you for tuning in. Hello, Ruth. Nice to see you. So we're going to do this one more time now. I'm going to try to get rid of this shininess. You know what? I'm just going to hold the phone. So today's topic is celebrating our humanity. Well, celebrating the fact that we got the video to work and the audio. But when I think about celebrating our humanity, I think of the word celebration. Two things come to mind when it comes to celebration. I think about what we celebrate and why do we celebrate. So let's first address the whats. What are some of the things that we celebrate? Well, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is we celebrate birthdays. And even in the birthdays, we have the milestones like the 13, you just turned into a teenager, 16, that you're, a young adult, 21, woohoo! And then after that, there's the milestones like the decades. We do the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s, and so on. We also celebrate events like weddings and anniversaries. We celebrate graduations. For example, my son just graduated high school, so we celebrate that. We celebrate promotions, even retirement. Oh, we celebrate house. Like I just got invited to my granddaughter purchased a house and she's having a housewarming party. So we celebrate events that happen in our lives. We also celebrate the hallmark events like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Grandparents' Day. We celebrate events to help us remember, like Memorial Day, 4th of July, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving is another one. We celebrate religious holidays, and we also celebrate the beginning of a new year. So when it comes to celebrating, we have a lot of celebrations throughout the year. Now that we know what we celebrate, the question is why? Why do we like to celebrate? Aside from, yay, it's fun, we have a party. Why do we celebrate? I went to Project Happiness, which gave us 5 reasons why we celebrate. So I want to share them with you because I think they're really good and pretty much dead on. So the first one is we cultivate a sense of community. So one of the most opportune times to bond with our families and friends is during a special occasion. Now we know this, whether we come together for a happy occasion or perhaps maybe a more somber one, we still get a chance to connect with those that we love and care about on a deeper and more profound level. I recently went back to New York for a cousin's funeral. It was my godfather's son. And even though we were there to pay our respects and remember the loss of his life, when I left, I felt more connected to my family than I have in a while. And I have this idea that tragedy has a tendency to draw us closer together. Tragedy has a tendency to, pain. It captures our attention. The second reason why we celebrate is instilling a sense of meaning and significance in our lives. So these are where there are the unique rituals and practices that highlight important milestones that we have in our lives. We're going to mount the phone on the tripod, so give me a minute. I'm sorry, that's my ceiling. Thank you, Mark. So we commemorate, oh my God. Thank you. That's it. There we go. Now you see my laptop. So we commemorate important events. Don't touch it. It's good. Thank you. So those are the rituals. Perhaps it's customary. It's the customary rites. For example, let's stick with the wedding. The idea of a wedding. So when we have a wedding, what we do is we get together and we witness the vows, and then we. Can you get rid of this? We witness the vows, and then we. Sorry. Thank you. We witness the vows. We participate in the champagne and the cutting of the cake. All of those are rituals. And when we have those rituals, I'm just going to have to pull this now. When we have those rituals, I want to thank you all for just hanging in there while we make our way through this. It's those rituals, all of these actions, that's what connects us to the significance of the occasion. And it instills a sense of reverence and appreciation. Number 3, we create lasting and fond memories. So when we gather together for celebration, the human mind has a tendency to recall the memories that carry great or high emotional charge. And it's almost like we create a bookmark in our brain that we can easily get to. And when we have that recall, we remember the moment that it occurred, we actually experience it as if we're doing it again. Like, for example, think of some of the events that you had in your life where you can recall and all of a sudden you feel that greatness, that laughter, that giggling, or the joy that you experience. It comes over you just by simply seeing it in your head, or even just by recognizing it in a picture. I was thinking of this the other day. So here's a picture I have on my bookshelf. This is George, naturally, but this was in the year 2000. In the year 2000, it was one of the last, in the year 2000, we were at the Delta building, which was on Desert Cove, and we had a celebration for the year 2000, and that's when George used to do the yearly celebrations that he had. And so when I look at this, I remember that. I remember every New Year's he would do a New Year's celebration, and he would do the numerology of the new year and what we can expect, and everyone would get dressed up, and it was really a beautiful moments. We have very many beautiful moments that we did that. He did that for a number of years. So when we have those pictures, it reminds us of those moments. Like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember this too. I was pulling this up. So here's my pictures of my grandchildren when they were very, very young. As a matter of fact, this is my second oldest daughter. I think she was 5 and 3 or 2 in this one. It's when I took them to New York. That's the first time they're on a plane. So that's why I have that. Oh yeah, I remember when I took them on the plane to New York. They of course don't remember it, but we do. So it brings that joy to our lives. I can't read I see Charlie said something, such a wonderful man, I just loved him. Yes, I loved, obviously he's there, but George was truly great memory. As a matter of fact, you can recall memories in Omega Vector that you had, and you will bring that event back to you. Some of you had great breakthroughs in Omega, and when you remember that, oh my gosh, that's right, and it comes forward for you. So again, we celebrate for memories, creating lasting memories. Number 4, the 4th reason why we celebrate is because it adds fun and excitement into our lives, which is true. I mean, we love to have those celebrations. As a matter of fact, the little kid in us anticipates, yeah, Saturday, that's the birthday party, and we get all excited about coming together to celebrate with one another. It's a lot of fun. We get to engage in some of the joys of life, like dancing and music and food and playing and laughing. All of that is created because of the celebrations. But number 5, here's the one that really captured my attention. It said, we take our place in the circle of life. One of the reasons why we celebrate is because we take our place in the circle of life. Now, what does that mean? When we commemorate special occasions, we are essentially connecting with our humanity and the commonality that we've shared with all of those who've long been before us. So we tap into the timelessness of the human spirit when we take time to respect the important rites and passages that were celebrated by our ancestors. So staying with the example of a wedding, for when we do the wedding, when one gets married, whether it's you getting married or if you're in the wedding party or if you're participating or if you're just a guest, by being part of that ceremony, we are connecting to the ceremonies of our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, so on and so forth. We're connected to that thread when we step into that ceremony. If you've ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, I love that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And she was so embarrassed because she had so many cousins. There was a scene where they're on the bridge and she turns to Ian, I think his name was, she turns to Ian and says, "You have 3 cousins. I have 30. And then she explains all the things and how everyone's always in each other's face and so on and so forth. But in the end, it's the traditions that are passed down and we're connected with them. It's a great, I love that movie. I think it's a very fun and a good representation of how traditions are carried forward. And it connects us to our ancestors. I mean, that's why we do Thanksgiving. It connects us to remembering why we're grateful, to express gratitude in our lives. So it's important, therefore, that we remember that as human beings, we are connected. Not only where we are, but where we came from, but where we're going. We are a continuation of our ancestors, and we're bringing their traditions to the future. It's almost like we have a responsibility for that, but that's a little off topic. So back to the idea of celebrations. When it comes to celebrating, remembering that we are connected. So as human beings, we have many shared characteristics and behaviors. Many shared characteristics and behaviors. We have joy. All of us experience joy. We experience laughter. We experience sadness. We experience pain and happiness. I could say anything and you go, "Yep, I've been there. Yep, I know that." So we've all experienced heartbreak. We've all experienced victory. Perhaps maybe the levels are different, but we've all experienced that. So when I say that it's where we are within ourselves, we are connected because we can connect with the experiences. And when we are connected with the experiences, we're connected with more than experiences. That's what I should say. As human beings, there really isn't much difference between you and me, or you and I. My physical body is probably the only difference I have, and that in itself isn't much. I mean, there's a variation of weight and height, the color of our eyes and our hair and our skin, and perhaps maybe bone structure. That's about it. We're physically pretty similar. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I would say we're identical. We all have that within us. We have our dreams, our inspirations, our aspirations, desires, goals. We have that within us. So that's what I'm looking for our connection. It's the inner connection. That's the part that I want to celebrate, or I'd like to introduce us to celebrate. That we celebrate that inner part of us that all of us know. We all feel and we all experience. Now, here's the important part. When it comes to who we are and what we have our abilities to, we have awareness. As human beings, we have awareness and we have the ability to make a conscious choice. We can choose to take the high road or we can choose to take the low road. We really could. Most of the time when we take the low road, it's a reaction. But there are some times when people do intentionally want to cause harm. I don't want to go there. I want to stick with the high road. So we, as human beings, consciously, we have the ability to make a choice. So if we know that we want to live the higher way, do you think, here's a good question, do you think that I live my life every moment, every day, celebrating or being aware with compassion, love, happiness, and joy? Of course not. I'm a human being, so I fluctuate and vary. So what happens is I probably have more flaws than attributes, but the idea is it's my intention to live compassion, patience, love, and joy, and beauty. It's my intention to do that. So I have to remember that. It's my intention. I'm not successful all the time, but it's my intention. Now, here's my point. When we look out into society and we see and hear perhaps something that we deem to be disrespectful, rude, we deem it to be offensive, or in my mind, flat out wrong, it is imperative that I remember not to judge. I must remember to look out and witness, observe, and in my mind say, wow, they struggle just like I do. If I can remember to do that, then I wouldn't choose the path downward, because downward separates us. Oh, that person, I'm better than you. It really separates us. But when I choose to find our commonality, oh wow, yeah, I struggle just like they do, that unites us. And that's something I can celebrate in. Now, I know it sounds strange to say I'm going to celebrate because somebody's being obnoxious, but we could celebrate in the fact that we're aware that we recognize, oh, there's someone who's being obnoxious. Have I been obnoxious before? Yeah. We can free ourselves from that instant reaction and work on a response. So that's important for us to recognize and see that that's what we want to do. It's connecting to our humanity. It's connecting to that part of me that I know exists. So instead of reacting, we have the ability to respond. That's what we're looking for, is our response. So I have a task for you. My task is, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to challenge you. When you're looking out into the world, whether it's social media, phone conversation, a one-on-one conversation, and somebody says something or does something that you find offensive, disrespectful, flat out wrong, instead of going to defend or attack, or put your 2 cents in, take a moment. Take a moment and breathe. When you feel it rising up for you, just think for a second and remember, oh yeah, they struggle just like I do. And when you remember that, there's really no need to get into the offense or defense. We simply just look and observe. If something is required of us, we can participate without judgment. That's the idea. So in that, while you're doing that, then I also want to challenge you to celebrate life. See how many events you can create where you are actually celebrating something. You know, call up your family and remind them of a time that you went on a vacation or you had an event and you laughed your butt off until you cried. And remind them of that. Bring that memory forward and make that connection. Connect with your friends and tell them how much you appreciate them and that you love them and you're so grateful that they're in your life. Look at your children and see the wonder in their eyes and recognize life is unfolding for them. And learn to let them have their experiences. So that's what we would suggest to do. Use this time, especially now, use this time to invoke celebration. So when we look out and recognize our commonality, I'm looking for the operative word is celebrate. Look for the idea to celebrate, to bring joy, to bring happiness, to bring compassion to the event, to the moment. Now I know some of you might think, well, you know, I'm watching the riots or I'm watching political stuff, and my suggestion would be stop. Sorry, that's me. But even if you do that, it actually would be great practice. Many years ago, one of our assignments in facilitator training is we had to watch 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes of the news. I'm not a fan of the news. We had to watch the first 5 minutes and not judge. Not have any reaction at all, just observe. That was pretty hard. So we have an opportunity to do that now. If you choose to observe what's unfolding, do it without judgment, do it with compassion. I have a feeling, Mark actually said that to me. That's funny. Patricia said, turn off the news. Mark told me a few weeks ago, we talked about this, and we had the idea that if everybody understood what power and what great potential we have for celebrating, for joy, for love. If everyone filled their moments with joy and with love, what kind of impact would we make? There would be a small underlying current. I would think it'd be like a domino effect. You know, science has proven this. When you observe a kind gesture, it actually increases the endorphins in you along with the other people. I don't know if endorphins is the correct word, but it increases that element with us as well as the person who's receiving that kind gesture. Well, I feel like the same thing is true when it comes to celebrating. If you call and celebrate and experience joy and laughter, you walk away feeling joy and laughter, and so do they. And perhaps that person will take the next step and spread a little bit more joy and laughter and celebration in their lives. So again, that's going to be my challenge for you. I'd like to challenge you to go out and spend the next 2 weeks celebrating our humanity. Celebrate those moments and make a contribution. I mean, that's what we talk about. Omega is the spirit of Omega. Make a contribution to the people in our lives. As I said last week, remember, what can we do? Well, we can affect who we are. So we have the opportunity, we have the, I almost want to say responsibility, because we know what to do. We have the responsibility to spread joy, to spread compassion, and to celebrate. So that's going to be my challenge for you. So here's what I'd like you to do. As you're having these moments, send us messages. Tell us what you did, how you celebrated, how you added celebration, and I'll see if I can get them posted onto the Facebook so everyone else can see how the celebration is happening. So I wish you tons of joy this next 2 weeks in celebrating and celebrating you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for hanging in there while we were working with the audio controls. So I look forward to seeing you. Have a wonderful 2 weeks, and good luck. All right. Bye now.